concerned about is communism, Star Wars, the Holocaust, things like that. Why don't we start correcting these problems at the grassroots? I mean, things like, last night I went to the gas station, and there's some 17-year-old working there who obviously wrote in crayon on a piece of paper and taped it to the pump, pay first. Like, I'm a thief, right?
Oh, that drives me insane. I will drive out of a gas station that wants me to pay first. I don't know why. There's no logical explanation for it, but it just really ticks me off.
I know. Hey, me too. I went to the grocery store the other day, and some kid is standing there with one of these funny haircuts talking to some chick. The checkout guy, the kid, has one of these funny haircuts, making time with some young chick there, and we're all lined up behind him. People that go to the 10-item or less, that have more than 10 items. Let's concentrate on the important things. Star Wars, Reagan, the Supreme Court, the communists, we can work on them later. Let's get down to the basics and take care of the things that are important.
Well, great. Where do you suggest we start, and how do you suggest we start?
Okay, the first thing I think we ought to do is that all children, up until after they're 3 years old, ought to be put in a home until they're 21. And we ought to have people there teaching them how to work, the things that you go through to buy a car, and they ought to take their money away from. They ought to give them some money and then say, "Oh gosh, we just made a tax for breakfast. You have to give us your money," and let them see how hard it is to become an adult. Then say, "Okay, you're going to be an auto mechanic. You're going to be a checkout in the grocery store. You're going to be a bricklayer or whatever," and then put them out in jobs.
Oh, that could be a disaster, Bill.
No, it's a disaster now. It's obviously not working the way things are.
Oh, no. I suggest to you that could be a disaster. I mean, for example, suppose, Tim Coles was picked to be the talk show host at, noon to 4 on WFLA. Mm-hmm. Oh, disaster.
Well, suppose he had, when he was 3 years old...
Mike Levine, suppose, they chose him.
Oh, tuned in. Is this an open program?
This is an open program.
Yeah, okay.
Are you kidding me?
Listen, I'm calling to gripe about handicap parking spaces.
Okay, look.
Are you ready for this? All right. First of all, I question the legality of these store owners being able to designate these spaces as handicapped. First of all, I don't mind them doing that.
They don't designate them. They are required to designate them.
Well, see, it's private property. I don't understand how that works. If you have an auto accident, if you have a collision in your car with another car in a parking lot of, say, an Albertsons or something like that, the police have no jurisdiction there. They can't write you a ticket. They write you this little courtesy thing that gives each party the name of the insurance company, and that's it. They can't cite anybody. It's on private property. How is it that they can write you a $100 ticket for parking in one of these spaces? I don't understand it. I question it. I mean, this happened. The reason I bring this up, it happened to my dad recently. He parked, and my dad is handicapped, but he doesn't, he never applied for one of those stickers. But he went ahead and parked in this handicapped spot, and they actually fined him $100 for doing that. But to add insult to injury, there were about, first of all, personally, I have never seen anybody in a wheelchair buying groceries. I never have. I can understand putting a handicapped spot in front of a place like a hospital or some kind of similar service. But I just don't. I don't agree with him. I can't take it. But like I was going to tell you, at the same time that he parked in this handicapped spot, of which there were about 6 others that were vacant adjacent to him, there were about 20 cars parked right in front of the store in the so-called fire lane, the fine for which is supposed to be $500. So, in other words, they ticketed my dad $100 for parking in the handicapped spot, and the county could have had about $5,000 worth of revenue if they had ticketed the cars that were in the fire lane, which is a genuine hazard. Well, it aggravated me.
understand, Lou. Thank you so much. Long one. Oh, I mean, going to be a real... Aren't there any old ladies out there that could call up and, that I could talk dirty to or something? Are there any young ladies that would call up that I could talk dirty to? Are there any men that would call up that I could talk dirty to? I mean, I can't deal with handicapped parking spaces But nonetheless, during the hour, something came in hot off the presses. Tampa Bay Weekly, which is a relatively new, issue number 9, so it's been around for 9 weeks, a relatively new tabloid in the Tampa area, a review of the news and arts. Well, lo and behold, guess who the cover story is on this week? That's right, talk. Lassiter minces no words with Tampa Bay radio listeners. I would normally not do this, but there are some very interesting quotes and some rather interesting insights in this. Let me share it with you, okay? It's free. It's a handout, so I'm sure that they wouldn't be, terribly upset that if I read the article. It's not like, it's going to cost them sales or something. Article reads as follows. David Fowler, his former cohort at radio station WPLP, calls him Mad Dog. Listeners to WFLA Radio, 970 AM, including Rocky, the rock and roll Klansman, Captain Jack, Valrico, Bob, and Peggy from West Tampa, use somewhat stronger language. Pinko, fascist, commie, liberal, etc. The National Federation for Decency, they're the ones who successfully elbowed 7-Eleven stores into dropping Playboy and Penthouse, has targeted him for harassment. Bob Lassiter eats it all up, then waits at the microphone to gnaw on the next caller. The controversial afternoon talk show host, noon to 4, wants to be loved. I didn't say that. He says, but short of that, he'll take all the heat that comes over the phone lines if it'll continue to pump up the ratings of his top-rated program. I don't want anyone to hate me, says the tall, stout, bearded 42-year-old radio host. I'm only human. I've had a successful day. If I've had a successful day, it's because I've come in and held a microphone up, or a mirror up to the microphone, and allowed the ugly elements of society to come out and expose themselves. I let them holler at me for what they are. Ben says it's continued on page 7. Let me give you a little hint. It isn't. It's continued on page 6. But on to page 6. Boy, do they holler. Lassiter's callers kick up a lot of rhetorical dust. The most common subject is religion. A born-again Christian zealot will phone in the show and rail against a Lassiter wisecrack or a statement regarding the Bible. Occasionally, Lassiter will make a direct reference to the book, always quoting chapter and verse. When the caller responds with an, "I've never seen that in the Bible, you're just making that up." When he repeats the book and verse his reference comes to, the caller usually says, "Ah, shucks, I haven't read the whole book, I'm just going on faith," which ends the conversation. Religion can get the big man hung up for an entire 4 hours on his daily show. He never runs out of things to say about it. How do I think the world started, he asks? Accident, couldn't be planned. Any other subject will do just as well. Lassiter describes his job as having to provide 4 hours of entertaining, provocative radio, no matter what I have to do to accomplish it. I'm not out to change the world. I'm just out to give it 4 hours of entertainment. The show relies on just 2 elements, Lassiter and his caller's ability to shock and have strong opinions about everything. Sometimes, he concedes, he may be provocative just for the sake of stirring something up. I have very few causes these days, or long gone. I never had very many anyway. He rarely has guests because they couldn't possibly be as provocative as his listeners. I love doing interviews, he says, but the kind of interview I like doing is hard to get. I don't see any point in promoting a book, and I don't want to interview anyone who agrees with me. Speaking of promotion, some days it seems like every talk host on both WFLA and WPLP has something to say about Lassiter, and listeners of both stations call in to complain about him. It's a mark of achievement, says the grinning personality in question. It's hardly a day that goes by that on anybody's show my name doesn't come up. I'm a topic in and of myself. Radio wasn't the Collingswood, New Jersey native's first calling. He wouldn't want it to be a history teacher. I don't remember telling him that, but it is true. If you want to know the future, he advises, study the past. If there's one thing I believe in, it's cycles, and cycles are another way of saying history repeats itself. History took a back seat when Lassiter dropped out of high school in the 11th grade to pursue life as a stand-up comedian in New York City's Greenwich Village. When that didn't pan out, the self-professed recluse earned his GED and spent time at Old Dominion University and Virginia Commonwealth University without receiving a degree. A radio salesman in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands literally discovered Lassiter's radio potential when they shared a table at a sidewalk cafe on the island. On hearing Lassiter's deep, booming voice, the salesman said, "You should be in radio." His first job was playing beautiful music, Sides of Montavani. The nomadic path then led to Norfolk twice, Utica, Richmond, and Pittsburgh. His last stop before Tampa Bay was Miami, first as a country music station disc jockey and then as a weekend talk show host on WINZ. "I used to earn more doing weekends there than I did when I first came up here," he says. It's true. Lassiter joined WFLA in late August after 2 stormy years at WPLP. The best thing Lassiter can say about his former bosses at WPLP is, "They gave me my head, allowed me to develop. But management wasn't thrilled with what they created despite good ratings. They didn't believe in me," says Lassiter. "I wanted to do a very controversial show, and the show generates a lot of negative feedback from certain elements in the community. PLP was not able to deal with that. They needed my ratings, but preferred to pretend I didn't exist." Mark Brewer, general manager of WPLP, doesn't dispute Lassiter's plaint. He says the station and its former employees simply were going in different directions. "Frankly, Bob didn't fit in anymore here, and he does fit in over there," says Brewer. "Their hosts are the centers of controversy. Bob has always been controversial. Yes, he was not liked. Advertisers didn't like to have their messages aired in that environment. He had a few mainstay advertisers who would take the heat. Some of them, frankly, couldn't. The style Bob does is entertaining, exciting," continues his ex-boss. "Bob did very well at night. In terms of his total audience impact, Bob did it as well as anyone WPLP at night." I suppose that should read as well as anyone WPLP ever had at night. Actually, he did it much better. He still has never been able to beat Sally Jesse Raphael, heard on WFLA formerly, which I think frustrated him. No, it didn't frustrate me, Mark. For God's sake, her numbers were ancient. You know that as well as I do, and I was never frustrated that I didn't have, a 700 share of 65-plus old bags. But nonetheless, back to the article. Lassiter, who is married to WPLP business manager and former Dateline host Mary Turner, says that besides a raise in pay, WFLA lured him from Pinellas Park to Tampa by encouraging rather than fearing controversy. "This station will not be dictated to by pressure groups or clients," he believes. "I cannot say the same thing for WPLP." Lassiter brought 2 continuing characters along with him when he crossed the bay: Rocky, the rock and roll Klansman, and the National Federation for Decency. Rocky is a gentleman who purports to be an avid member of the Ku Klux Klan. He is to the right what Louis Farrakhan is to the left. He inflames listeners with his racial remarks, causing phones to ring off the hook. Rocky has become a regular caller at WFLA, not only to Lassiter, but to Ted Webb, who follows him as well. It really should get somebody to proofread this copy. "If you set up calls, he's what you would set up," says Lassiter. "He's so stereotypical, such a classic. He's too good to be true, but I know Rockies exist." In fact, Lassiter has become concerned that maybe Rocky is really a bluff. The Klansman even fooled Lassiter once by pretending to be someone else, a snowbird in an Airstream recreational vehicle. "That's what really turned my head. He was so good. He held that character for 8 minutes, which told me Rocky has experience doing this. To be sure, Lassiter isn't taking Rocky's calls for a while, putting the Klansman on the shelf to let him age." I didn't say that. I said I had done that in the past. As for the Tupelo, Mississippi-based National Federation for Decency, a group of masochists that can't stand me but must listen, the talk host is not concerned. "I aggravate them," boasts Lassiter. "I always bitch and moan about them. I gave out their phone numbers. That made them very unhappy." "That's true," confirms Alan Wildman, public relations director of the NFD and brother of its founder, the Reverend Donald Wildman. "We've had a lot of phone calls from people down at that area," Wildman says from his Tupelo office. No doubt he, Lassiter, has broadcast our Watts line number. "I don't have any hard feelings toward Lassiter," continues Wildman. "We found it's best to just ignore situations like this. I enjoyed debating him on radio, but it wouldn't accomplish anything at all, certainly nothing positive. The National Federation of Decency just doesn't understand that Lassiter is just being Lassiter. I'm different from most people," he says, "in that I'm a cynic and a skeptic. I don't believe in anything." He lays the blame for that on his childhood, claiming to come from a broken home in a Protestant neighborhood where his parents' divorce caused him to be ostracized by his peers. "I'm the kind of guy," continues Lassiter, who says, I don't take any blank from anybody. Actually, they didn't put the blank in there. I'm putting the blank in there. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care if I'm financially successful. It's more important to be right. I can't change the world, but at least I'm going to have my say. Then 5 or 25 years from now, I can sit back and say, I told you so. Rocky, what do you think about all of that? Whoops, Rocky didn't stay on? Oh, my God, Rocky, you joined the Subhuman Pig Club, hanging up on that? God. Larry in St. Pete, hi, you're on the air at WFLA. Hello, Larry.
Yes.
Sherry in Tampa, hi, you're on. And another Subhuman Pig. Well, he came back. Rocky.
Only half subhuman. I did call back. No, that's not why I called.
Now, what'd you think about the article, Rocky?
I didn't read the article.
Well, I read it for you.
Yeah, you read it for me. I don't have to buy the magazine.
No, you don't have to buy it. You can pick it up. It's free. It's Tampa Bay Weekly. It's free.
Well, I'm not familiar with that tabloid. I'm sure it's communist backed if it's got anything to do with this area.
No, I don't think so. It's relatively new. It doesn't appear to be, communist-inspired at all.
Well, my tabloid is fairly new, too.
Filled with many, which I still haven't received, by the way. It's filled with many advertisements, which would appear to me to be, a capitalist publication.
Well, see, this publication I'll be sending to you will also have the visitor's pass card in it. This will have what you have to do while you visit this country.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have it's a mark, but this is what I'd like to see. It'll be a marked visitor's pass, and you yourself can fill it out, and if you want to, you could even read it on the air and see how many of your listeners really belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll also be a poll on there. There'll also...
A poll?
Yes, a poll. And there's also a way to judge yourself, a point system, how you can judge yourself to see if you qualify to stay in this region of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we will be sending you a picture of the new designated uniform for the school children to be wearing in public schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wanted to,
When is it coming out, Rocky?
What?
When is it coming out?
Well, it's already out, but see...
Why haven't I received my copy?
Well, you're not... See, there was a mailing list. Now, I want to send you a past issue, because this stuff was in the past issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't go back and change all the newsletters, the heading, because you're new on the list. You see, when this was done, everybody was supposed to be on the list was on the list. Well, then you said you wanted to be on the list. So now I'm going to go back and issue your visitor's pass. So you will be issued your mock visitor's pass to see, or anybody else wants to see.
Well, great, Rocky. When am I going to get it, though? I've been waiting breathlessly every day. I check the mail twice a day, Rocky.
Today is Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday, that's right.
You should be receiving it Monday. You should get it Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And if you don't get it by Monday or Tuesday, and if I call you Wednesday, ream me out. You'll definitely get it. The real reason I wanted to call you is about the...
What did you think about the article? Did you like the article? They talked about you.
Do I like the article?
Yeah. They asked me about you, and, I commented.
I think they stereotyped me.
Actually, he even wanted to get in touch with you. He wanted to quote you from the article, but of course I said I had no way of getting in touch.
Well, that paper's not big enough for them to do things like that.
St. Petersburg Times wanted to get in touch with you, too.
Well,
they're doing a very large article on
I think that's very funny, because I've wrote them a few commentaries, but I've never seen any of them published in their paper.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they want to get in touch with me. Now, I've written many letters to the St. Petersburg Times, but they never print them.
Well, I can't explain that, Rocky. I have nothing to do with the editorial policy over there.
That's a very
obviously
liberal...
Oh, give me a break, Rocky. They wouldn't even run Bloom County. What do you mean a liberal paper? They got you duped, Rocky. They're not liberal.
Ronald Reagan is too liberal.
Ronald Reagan is too liberal?
Another thing, I'd like to make a comment about Varico Bob.
Yeah.
People have to respect the man for what he is. He hasn't a right to...
Got to change your opinion about him this morning, huh?
Huh?
You kind of changed your opinion about him this morning, huh?
I've never changed my opinion about him.
Well, you didn't used to like Valrico Bob.
When did I ever say that?
When you debated him hotly and heavily and insulted John Wayne.
Oh, that's true. John Wayne was a communist sympathizer. I can prove that. Matter of fact, we'll be writing about that in this issue. You will have that writing in this issue, this first issue you will receive.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about. See, we're going to be explaining some things in here in detail about John Wayne and some of the other communist friends of his.
Well, I eagerly await it, Rocky. I've been awaiting it for a long, long, long time. And there are so many things you promised to send me that you never sent me. You promised to send me a robe and a hood. You never sent that.
And the flag.
And the flag, right? You never sent that. You're always promising to send me things, Rocky, and they just never arrive. I don't understand.
Well, that's not the real reason I call you today. The real reason I call you today was to talk about this burning of rock and roll albums in churches.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to tell everybody that it's getting near Christmas time, and what we could all do when the next time it starts to happen, we could go down there, and when they get ready to burn them, we could jump them, take their records from them, knock them down on their behind.
Yeah, most of them are probably scratched anyway, Rocky.
I doubt it. I've heard that a lot of these people don't have any rock and roll records, and they go out just to buy some to burn them.
No.
They do. Most of these type of people don't have any records to burn. So what do? They go to the discount rack and buy maybe something like an old Steppenwolf album or something by the Kinks and burn it.
Son of a gun. You just can't trust anybody anymore, Rocky.
No. Notwithstanding, be ye sure of this, that the kingdom of Rocky is to come unto you.
Did you see the thing on 44 last night, by the way?
No, but are you going to be on TV tonight?
Yeah.
On channel 44.
44.
At 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be watching. I'll be watching you tonight on TV.
It's enough to give me the creeps, Rocky.
That'll give you the creeps. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll find out where you live and I'll come over and have supper with y'all.
Well, I'd enjoy that, Rocky. You know, myself and Mrs. Lassiter, we would enjoy that immensely. We love having interesting guests over for dinner.
Maybe I could take you all out to dinner.
Oh, that would be exciting, too. We love ribs.
You like possum pie?
Possum pie? I don't think I've ever had possum pie, Rocky.
It's really good.
Well, perhaps it is, but I'd prefer ribs. Hey, Rocky, I got to run along, but I thank you much.
You're welcome.
Try to pick up the article. You'll like it. It's good.
You will get this. You will get my publication by Monday or Tuesday.
I hope so, Rocky.
Okay, look in your mailbox.
Will do.
Hey, where should the address?
801 East Jackson.
801 Jackson Street.
Mm-hmm. Tampa 33602.
33602.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thanks, Rock.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Water 60. Now here's more with WFLA's Bob Lassiter.
Thank you, Yvonne. 1:31 the time. Nancy in Tampa. Hi, you're on the air, WFLA.
Hi, Bob. This is Nancy O'Day.
How you doing, Nancy?
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I'm the associate publisher at the Tampa Bay Weekly.
A fine publication.
Thank you very much. That's nice to hear. I'm sorry it was hard for you to read that story on the air, but we appreciate you reading it on the air.
Well, I appreciate it being done.
It was a pleasure. I mean, the article is very good, and I'll tell you what, we love you.
Oh, pshaw.
It's nice. I mean, you know, I've just been down here a few weeks. The paper's been around for 2.5 months now, but I've heard your name come up several times.
Well, Bob Andelman did a fine job. The only thing I would question, and I must admit that the week that I talked with him, I probably spent 15 hours that week giving interviews.
Oh, really?
But the only thing I don't remember saying is that I want people to love me. I don't remember saying that.
You must have interpreted that, so, you know, it'll be, well, you'll find out if people love you or not, I suppose. And I'm sure they do, though.
Oh, it would ruin me. Ruin me, Nancy.
Well, listen, would it make your day or your week? Or?
No, it would ruin me if everybody loved me.
It would?
Oh, it would.
Well, it's a love-hate relationship. There's a fine line between love and hate, isn't there?
Well, there certainly is.
Yeah. But listen, I just wanted to introduce myself and appreciate you giving us a plug on the air. What do you think of our newspaper?
I think it's a fine publication. I enjoyed leafing through it.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it very much.
Great.
And appreciated the article.
Good. It's our pleasure, and I hope that you and I can get together and talk in person.
Sounds fine.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye, Nancy.
Bye-bye.
Lee in Tampa. Hi, you're on the air at WFLA.
Bob, please
Yes, Lee.
talk about oral copulation.
With you, Lee? I don't understand. What? One line open in Hillsborough. Stephanie in West Tampa. Hi, you're on the air, WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hello, Stephanie.
But Daphne.
Okay, Daphne, whatever.
Yeah, no, whatever. Daphne. Daffy Duck.
Okay.
It's Daphne.
Daffy as in Daffy Dog. Okay.
Okay, you got that right, eh?
Oh, what was that?
And you have that right?
Yeah, I've got that right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I love you.
Well, thank you, Stephanie.
I love you.
Thank you,
Why
Stephanie.
you want to say that I love you? I love you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Stephanie.
Huh?
I said I'm glad to hear that, Stephanie.
No, wait a minute. Get my name together. I have MS. And you say, no, I love you. I love you.
I didn't say nobody loves me. I said I don't want to be loved.
Huh?
I didn't say nobody loves me. I said I don't want to be loved.
Why?
Because I don't.
Why? God put you here. He said you still be here.
No, let's not get on to
A lot
religion.
of people like you love you.
Well, let's not get on to religion, Stephanie.
Huh?
Try to read my lips. Let's not get on to religion, Stephanie.
I cannot get on religion. No, I'm not on religion. It's just that I'm telling you, you said on the radio that nobody love you, and I'm telling you,
No, Stephanie, I didn't say that nobody loves me. I said I don't want to be loved.
Why not?
Because I don't.
Why?
Because I don't.
What's the reason you don't?
I don't want to be loved.
Well, I said, what's the reason you don't want to be loved?
Because I prefer not being loved.
Well, you want everybody to be hate you?
Well, there are other alternatives besides hate.
Huh?
There are other alternatives besides hate, Stephanie.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. I love you. And I like to hear your voice on the one. I always like to listen to your radio.
Well, I always enjoy hearing from fans. Vora, that. You know, that's how I make my living, basically.
Yes, word? How about that?
We may have to go to that today. We may actually have to go to that today.
I might have to go to old black and white movies, Bob. I'm sorry.
Well, I wish I'd brought in a television with me.
Well,
See, I don't care about anything today. It's not the audience's fault, really. It's my fault.
But you don't
I
care
don't
about
care
veterans,
about
Bob?
anything today. Nothing today.
You don't care about veterans?
No, I don't care about anything.
Bull doo-doo.
No, it's true today.
Come on, Bob. Nobody's dead. Unless you're dead.
I'm not dead. I just don't care about anything today.
Too bad.
No, I don't.
If someone stole your car, you'd be pissed, man.
Well, nobody stole my car.
But they might.
Well, I'll worry about it then.
There you go. You have to care about something, Bob.
I don't.
You care about your chair. You're pissed about your chair. There you go.
Not today.
Huh?
Not today.
I'm
just not into it today.
I'm
I'm just mellow today and mushy. And what else can I do?
You're mellow, huh?
Hmm?
I heard you a couple days ago. Someone called you mellow, and boy, you were pretty.
Well, apparently I cared that day. Today I don't care.
Well, that proves your point. Then back me right in the corner. You win.
I always do. Thank you, Dan.
I know.
Vora in St. Pete. Hi, you're on the air, WFLA. Vora once. Vora twice. Vora never, ever again.
Bob?
Fine, Albert.
Oh, I'm calling in reference to this dude, Rocky, that you've been talking about.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of guts to talk about a man like John Wayne who's dead and can't, defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
This dude who runs around, you say he runs around in a white suit and a white hood?
Well, he purports to be a member of the Klan, yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe that was because he was the leader of the Casper the Ghost fan club or something like that.
No.
No?
No, not to the best of my knowledge.
Well, what does he say that why does he say John Wayne's a communist?
I don't know. I don't speak for Rocky.
Would he?
No, but if you use language like that again, you won't be on the air.
Well, sorry about that.
So am I.
Okay, well, I sure would like to talk to this dude and find out what the reasons why he calls John Wayne a communist.
8 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock.
And one more thing I'd like to say is, who answers the phones? Because he sounds so wonderful.
Well, that is Ted Carreras.
Ted. Okay. Well, hi, Ted. Okay.
He is wonderful, too.
Okay, I'd like to know whatever happened.
Even with the warts on the end of his nose and that hair that grows out of that big wart, beyond that, he has a great personality and he swims well.
Okay. Okay, well, whatever happened to Paul and Becky and them?
Whatever happened to Paul? Well, last I heard, they were all going on a camping trip to the Everglades.
Oh, well, I'd like to hear from them again. I mean, that was pretty exciting when they were all on there.
Well, I was getting pretty excited, too.
So I just wanted to call because I got afraid you were going to talk about the S word. So I thought I'd call and take up some time.
Well, Tammy, if you promise not to tell anybody, that's only an empty threat I make.
Okay.
I mean, if I ever did 4 hours on if I ever did 1 hour on Social Security complaints, I would get out of the business.
Right. Now, one more thing before I go is...
Yeah.
Now, you don't like the name Bob. Well, after yesterday's show, why don't we call you Boob?
Well, I beg your pardon. Everybody's a critic. I come on. They can't all be great, Tammy. I do 24 hours a week. That's an incredible amount of time to fill.
Well, I mean, if you
I'm in
wanted
a cyclical
to change
low.
your name.
I'm in a cyclical low. What can I tell you? There's one thing that really has me perturbed today, but it's not a fit topic for talk radio.
All right, what's got you perturbed?
The article, and a quote in the article.
And what's that? I think I missed it.
Oh, well, there's an article in the Tampa Bay Weekly that came out today, and it quotes a former boss for about 3 months at WPLP, and frankly, that has me angry because he either lied to me at some point in the past or he's lying now in the newspaper. I don't care which one it is, it angers me. But it's, what is the issue? What is the issue? It's not something for me to talk about per se.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we should talk about... let me go ahead and say one more thing about yesterday's show since I didn't get on.
Okay.
About the way I feel about women who have them group jobs done, okay? I think it gives us women who are naturally blessed a bad image. Because then guys look at us and say, well, I wonder if they're fake or real.
Well, you see, I was taking your side. I agree with you. That's why I think there should be warning labels.
Well, I just want to say I think so, too.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Tammy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I picked up this Village Voice from New York. A friend of mine gave it to me. Of course, Rocky knows this is a communist-inspired newspaper, and I have proof because, facetiously, there is a women's magazine they've come out with now. And
that's such great classified ads in the Village Voice.
It's a spoof on... Oh, maybe I ought to read those when I'm done. But it's a spoof on Cosmopolitan. It's called Comradette, the women's magazine for gals on the left. And it has such interesting articles as I slept with a Republican and liked it. One woman's shocking story. The leftist loser's lover. A psychiatrist explains why progressive men are so often dorks. The secret anguish of the feminist man. I don't want to free you. I want to be you. And it also has a neat article. It was just Halloween when I got the magazine about festive death. It says, if you're going to die, and you will, what better holiday is there to drop dead on than Halloween? Impress your friends by suffocating in a Batman mask, roasting yourself over an open fire while telling ghost stories, scaring away pranksters by nailing yourself to the front door, dressing up as a goat and going to a satanic ritual. Anyway, it's a leftist women's magazine, and I think Rocky ought to get a copy of this just to verify it.
Well, I know that the people who look for commies under the bed will probably not believe this, but I personally know 3 people, one of whom actually heads up a communist organization, a communist cell, I don't know what the hell you call them, communist club for the purpose of this conversation. Mm-hmm. I personally know 3 people who are avowed communists living in New York. They basically sit around expensive bistros at night drinking imported beer and, eating black bread and cheese. The cost of... And I'm not kidding. The cost of fortune...
Did they break the bottles and cut themselves with it?
Hell no. These people have Bloomingdale credit cards. And I'm serious. These are just well-intentioned, misguided souls, with gold wristwatches and chains and good jobs and fine apartments.
Yeah, it's great to be a communist as long as you're not in the Soviet Union.
Exactly. They're no threat to this nation whatsoever. They're, possibly a threat to themselves. They might hurt themselves.
Well, talking about, we can get serious here if that's in line, but, the Soviet Union is its worst enemy. Right now, 6 out of every 10 accidents are alcoholic-related. Their military is just falling apart due to alcoholism. Abortion rate is like 50%. It's Ronnie's spending $390 billion.
But I also hasten to point out that I do fear communism in this country, but it's not going to come from the people sitting in New York City reading the Village Voice and going to the sales of Bloomingdale's who call themselves communists.
Do you actually think that communism is a threat to us in the United States? Or an
yes, I do.
Threat?
No, it's an internal threat. One line open, it's in Pinellas. Mick in Tampa. Hi, Mick. You're on the air at WFLA. Hello, Mick. Mick, are you there, Mick? Oh, God, at least it wasn't from Orlando. Hey.
How you doing, Mr. Lassiter?
Oh, reasonable.
Calling in regard to the caller before the last one, the woman who was against our spending on nuclear weapons.
Uh-huh.
I have some unclassified information from Defense Department intelligence to tell you and her and anybody else who cares why we need to spend more on nuclear weapon systems. The Soviet Union, number one, has 5.3 million people active duty in their military.
Yeah, they also have about 2 to 3 times the land mass to defend that we have.
That's correct, and they also have
with hostile aggressors on their borders.
Not as hostile as they are on their borders, though. Compared to us, compared to the Soviet Union, the United States built 850 ICBMs compared to their 3,000 in the past decade. They have built 28,000 artillery pieces compared to our 2,700. They outnumber us in short-range nuclear missiles 1 to 5, and in their IRBM.
But, Mike, the point is we already possess enough weapons to wipe them off the face of the earth 100 times over.
That's correct.
Already.
But the Soviet Union also believes in protracted nuclear war. They spend billions of dollars a year just building shelters for their people. They believe they can save 10% of their urban population compared to...
I don't know why they build those shelters, Mike. Actually, I know that we used to build them in this country. Perhaps it's to appease their population. I have no idea why they build them.
It's because they believe in that they will be able to survive a nuclear war. That's their thing. They believe in conquering the world, and that's what...
Well, they're fools, Mike. They're fools if they believe they can survive a nuclear war. That's no reason for us to spend ourselves into oblivion because they think they can survive a nuclear war. They're crazy. They can't.
But if we continue cutting our annual defense budget and they continue...
Mike, where the hell have you been for the last 6 years? We haven't cut the defense budget. It has been increased dramatically.
And what is it? It's 6% of our gross national product.
I don't care if it's 2% or 90%. It's more than we need, Mike.
Well, you tell the Soviet Union that they don't need 17% of theirs, and it's going...
I don't care how much they're spending, Mike. We have more than enough power to wipe them off the face of the earth numerous times over.
Well, Robert, if they strike us before we strike them, then we are going to be SOL when it comes to a nuclear war. Because
so I guess we don't have anything to worry about, Mike.
Good afternoon.
Allow me to make a personal plea to those old ladies out there who absolutely despise me to call me up so that I can say rude, insulting things to you. We all love it. We really get a large kick out of it, and you'll be doing us all a public service on this holiday.
Asylum. And she says, don't trust Smiling Mike. He is as bad as you would ever want. And I think too many people in this country have been taken in by Smiling Mike and his progressive views and the way the news media, perceive him. He's really just as bad as the rest of them. I would like to thank you for one thing, Mr. Lassiter.
What's that, Larry?
You turned me on to David Sanborn. That's the greatest tape in the world.
Oh, Sanborn's good. If you ever get a chance to see him in concert, do not miss it. He has a guitar player that I believe is still with him, Hiram Bullock.
Yeah.
Sanborn is apparently a very, very secure man because for all practical purposes, the show is Hiram Bullock when you go to see him.
Really?
Who is just incredible. He's not only a fantastic musician, but he's also an incredible performer.
Oh, that would be great.
If you ever get a chance to see David Sanborn, and if you can find out in advance if Hiram Bullock is still touring with him, don't miss it.
If we could get him down here to Ruth Eckerd. Now, we did get tickets to Cats, and I've been told by a million people you can't do that. We did, which is going to be at Ruth Eckerd this month.
Nothing you can't get tickets to if you're willing to spend the money.
Well, I think if you really like theater, it's worth it.
Yeah, Cats is a great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, I've talked to people that saw it in Europe and people that saw it in New York, and they said the same thing. But maybe we can get David down here. That'd be great.
Well, he was in town about a year ago. I saw him, I guess it was Bayfront Center in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And first of all, I don't like to go to concerts.
Well,
number one. Number two, I never get excited. But that group, and especially Hiram Bullock, had me, on my feet and kind of jiving around, and which is just very, very un-Lassiter-like. And if he can do that to me, he can do it to anybody.
Yeah,
Temple Terrace. Hi, Dan. You're on the air, WFLA.
Bob, I only had to wait one call.
Well, I know, isn't it exciting? Well, I'm telling you, the audience is driving me crazy today. Filling up the board, all hanging up at once. Filling up the board, all hanging up at once.
I tell you, Bob, I called earlier today.
Yeah.
And
you were on earlier today?
Yeah, and I was still listening.
Dan, only one call a day, no matter how bad it is. I'm sorry, my friend. Richie, hi, Tim. You're on the air, WFLA.
This is Ken in Port Richey.
Okay, Ken in Port Richey. I'm easy to get along
so he
with.
texted wrong. And this I've had off to listen to Lassiter, and because since Lassiter moved over from that other place, and God...
Lassiter's letting you down. I mean, yesterday and today, man, I just don't have it. I don't have it. There's nothing I care about.
What's bothering me, Bob, is why aren't these little old ladies calling you up so that you can make suggestive sexual innuendo?
I've twice appealed to them. Twice now I've appealed to them because all of us enjoy it so much.
And I wish to disagree with that previous caller. It is not tactful. It is tactless. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Oh,
You're not.
It went right past me.
Okay.
Everything's going right past me today.
Picked up on it. It was really what I called about. I've got something even better than people going slow in the fast lane.
Mm-hmm.
The people who do not observe the no wake running when you're going out fishing. Now you're not a fisherman, are you, Bob?
Not really, no.
Well, when you're sitting there...
I'm thinking about it, though.
When you're sitting there in your small boat.
Funny you should mention that. I mean, just literally last Sunday, I said to Mary, maybe we should get fishing poles. I really did.
Well, the last suggestion I gave you about taking up skydiving, you didn't want to do.
Hey, sit on and spin, fella. I ain't going to skydive.
I know. That's what you told me the last time we discussed this, and it was on a Saturday when I called you and you were at that other station. You were talking about only people with no couth get up early on Saturday morning. But, okay, so we'll give up on you doing skydiving, but why not take up a little bit of fishing? It would give you time for contemplation.
Well, I've never done saltwater fishing. I have done a lot of freshwater fishing on lakes without bait, just to sit out in a rowboat by myself for a couple of hours and get away from the world. And that I love doing.
Well, you can do exactly the same thing out in the Gulf. You don't have to put bait on your hook.
Yeah, but I'll have to have a boat to go out on the Gulf.
I'll tell you what. I will personally take you out in my boat.
No. I want to go out by myself. It's nothing personal. Please don't misunderstand.
I'll give you my boat and let you go out.
But the whole purpose of fishing is to go out and sit in the middle of the water where there are no telephones.
That's right.
No one can even call out to you too far away from the shore.
Right.
Sit there and, pretend to be fishing while you eat your ham and cheese sandwiches and drink your beer or soda, whatever it might be.
Right.
And just get away from the world.
Exactly.
It's a great way to spend time.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the reasons why I called. See, I tried to do that this morning, even with this wind and problem, all right? And there I was, minding my own business. I couldn't even call Lassiter because I turned the radio off on the boat. And here comes this big cruiser. He's got to be doing 18 knots and almost threw me overboard.
Wait, did you say this morning?
Yes, sir.
With this wind?
Yes, sir.
I hope you've got about, a 900-foot boat with stabilizers in it.
No, well, okay, it is a rather large boat, and it is fairly stable. But this cruiser came by, and it shook my boat in a no-wake area.
I know. I have some friends that live down along the Intercoastal, and what people do up and down the Intercoastal, it's insane. Just absolutely insane. I mean, apparently half the people who own boats are lunatics.
Well, I think I agree. Now, earlier today, you had a caller on who was talking about we should get down to the grassroots of the problems. You remember the earlier first or second caller today?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Here's our problem. And he was beating around the bush. But you have hit this over and over and over again, and for some reason nobody listens. It is a gross inconsideration for your fellow man.
Yeah, we dislike each other. We despise each other.
You were talking before about not wanting to be loved. My God, who wants to be loved by someone who is selfish?
I mean, every place you go, everything you do, drive up and down the highway at night, all the bozos out there with their bright lights on, blinding the people coming in their path, and they couldn't care less.
That's
just as one minor example. The caller obviously brought up several other examples. You're bringing up an example. We despise each other.
I cannot believe we come up with all of this crap about peace on earth, goodwill towards men, when all we want to do is see how much advantage we can take of the other guy.
You got it.
And what really burns me, and you've heard me say this before, Bob, is those of us who would truly like to say, hey, can we give you a hand? The first question is, what's your angle, Jack? What do you want?
Well, of course, I'm sitting here thinking you've got a big boat. It's very stable. You must have, been a really scoundrel as a businessman. I mean, probably, running.
Number one, not a scoundrel as a businessman. Number two, an underpaid teacher.
Oh my God.
But
okay, then you must have been the treasurer for the teachers union. You embezzled the money.
Not a bad idea, but just save my money, Bob. The thing is this: when you offer to do something for somebody, this has happened 3 times to me this week. You offer to do something with absolutely no ulterior motive. The first remark that was made was, "What do you want in return?" How about nothing?
My, wouldn't that be interesting?
Paul, now here's WFLA's Bob Lassiter.
But I want to relate it again. One of the assignments I do for my mass media class is I tell them, I want you to get people's reaction to something. I want you to go out and take someone you totally despise.
Wait a second. You teach mass media?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that in a moment. Go ahead.
Right. Anyway, I tell them, go out and find someone you totally despise and tell them you would like to do something for them, or better yet, do something for them without them knowing it, just to see their reaction and record it. You would be surprised some of the interesting things that happen.
Why are you trying to teach people how to communicate? That can't be done. That's a natural instinct.
Well, if you don't succeed the first time, try again. The point is this. If we don't try to teach them to communicate, we're going to end up with more of the subliminal slobs who call you up and hang up because they haven't got guts enough to talk on the radio.
I mean, all these poor people that spend their money going to college to learn how to be, media stars. It's not done that way.
Oh, no. See, I tell
no wonder
them
you got a
the last
big
thing in
boat.
the world they want to do. I tell them that it's important for them to understand how the media treats them and how they should be affected by it. I try to give them an understanding of it. God forbid do I want them to go into it. It's like when I'm teaching drama. I tell the kids, you're not going to be an actor, but you could be a grip, or you could be a gaffer. You could go in and build scenery, or be a lighting technician and make a hell of a lot more money.
And work much more steadily anyway.
That's right. Exactly. But no, everybody wants to be center stage star.
Ain't that the truth?
And the problem is, what they don't realize is that it's not the center stage stars, it's not the Bob Lassiters, it's not the Duke Waynes, it's the people behind them who put that image there to start with.
Well, the tragedy is that there are an awful lot of unscrupulous, privately owned schools, and I'm sorry, there are an awful lot of unscrupulous departments within large universities that supposedly teach you how to get into this business and teach you how to succeed in the business. And
it's a rip-off, Bob.
It certainly is, because it's one of those things you can do it or you can't, baby.
That's right.
And you can't be taught how to do it.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I could not agree anymore. I think that and I'm sure you're familiar with there's a school of broadcasting in Minnesota, which will remain nameless, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know which one.
They advertise unrealistically in the public schools, and the kids will come to me and they say, Mr. So-and-so, what do you think of this? And I'll say, hey, look, I really think you're making a big mistake. If you want to learn how, go to our local 5-watt station, start sweeping floors, and take a job as a rip and read operator for a while until you know the board, and then go to work. And they say, well, gee, you can't do that. That's crap.
Well, it's you don't even have to go to the 5-watt station. There are lots of 50-watt stations. In my personal experience, if you go to a small market to break into this business, that's where you're going to stay. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why you can't go to Philadelphia, New York, Miami, Tampa. If you're going to get in on a temporary weekend basis, and that's the only way you're going to get in,
oh, yeah,
your chances are just as good at a major market station as they are in, who knows where. Hold on.
You probably have a better chance in Tampa than you would in New York City. Like, for instance, if example, when you pulled that stunt of having someone replace you on the other station, remember when you went away for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Weeks ago?
Oh, how I regret that.
I knew that was coming.
Well, it was a great idea, and what we really had in mind is not what it ended up being.
I know. Because most of the people that wanted to do it didn't get to do it.
That and the fact that they just procrastinated in going out and getting the people until it came down to like a week's notice, and then we couldn't get the people we wanted.
Oh, I know, because I was one of those that called in to the producer, and he never got back to me.
I know.
Well,
young man that doesn't work there anymore, but totally botched it up. You just wouldn't believe.
But anyway, as I was saying about, see, these are little things that make medium market, not small market, but medium market radio what it is. You are not going to have... All right, let's talk about Chicago. You got WBBM. The people that have been on BBM have been there for 100 years. Rarely do you see anybody breaking into that station.
Well, of course not, but there are probably 50 stations in Chicago.
Right, but they're all smaller wattage stations. Okay, now I see what you're talking about, and I've got to admit you're right.
It's a lot better to work at the lowest-rated station in Chicago than it is to work at the top-rated station in Paducah.
Yeah, I'll buy that. That makes a lot of sense.
My friend, I must run along. I've got to take one of those nasty things we call a break.
Got to make money. Robert, have a good day.
No, it's not so much to make money. It gives me a chance to light another cigarette without you guys hearing it. Bye-bye. Oh, thanks a lot, man. Anything else you wanted to ruin my day with?
Well, listen, I caught you on the news last night.
Oh, on 44? Yeah.
Yeah, take it from a fellow porker. Cut down on the cannolis, and you'll cut down on the squeaking.
Nah, this chair squeaks with everybody. It's not just me. It squeaks with everybody. What do you mean, a fellow porker?
Yeah.
Are you implying that I'm a tad overweight?
Well?
I mean, don't you understand that television adds poundage to you? You know what I couldn't believe? The young woman, the reporter, that was sitting to the left there in the blue suit. Okay. She is on the screen. That woman looked like she was about 25, 30 pounds overweight. She isn't.
She's not.
No. Nowhere's near it. Nowhere's near it. I was stunned. So, just consider that when you think about how the few pounds I appeared to be overweight.
All right, well, I'll tune you in again tonight, and I'll readjust the set.
Yes, kind of squeeze that picture together.
Okay.
Thanks, Bart.
Hey, thank you.
Be good.
How you do, Bob?
WFLA. I think it was in the second hour somebody called up and said, why all of a sudden, Lassiter, are you getting all this media coverage? And particularly he was referring to the Tampa Bay Weekly article. And it just dawned on me. I think it just dawned on me what the problem is. We live in a very, very mediocre community. Right next to the article on the last page is a list of the top 20 video rentals for the week of November 4th through the 10th. Okay? Top 20. Listen to these. Number 1. What do you think it is? Number 1 video rental. What would you possibly guess? Huh? Lady and the Tramp. Number 2. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Number 3, American Tail. I have no idea what the hell that is. Number 4, Crocodile Dundee. Number 5, The Godfather, Part 1. Hey, that's only 20 years old. Number 6, Calinetics, which I assume is some type of exercise tape. Number 7, Jane Fonda's low-impact aerobic workout. Number 8, Top Gun. Number 9, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Number 10, Sleeping Beauty. Number 11, Playboy 1988 Playmate Video Calendar. Number 12, Jane Fonda's new workout. Number 13, Here's Mickey. Number 14, Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins, it's older than The Godfather. Number 15, Disney's sing-along songs. Can you imagine? Let's go down to the VCR store and rent a video of sing-along songs. It'll be fun. Number 16, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Number 17, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Number 18, The Sound of Music. Number 19, Playboy Video Centerfold number 6. And number 20, The Return of the Jedi. That is tragic. I mean tragic.
I called up because I'm a local musician. I'm an avid jazz fan, and I heard you talking about Hiram.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Hiram Bullock. He's great. He
I had never...
on Letterman's show all the time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I had never heard of the man until I saw him in concert about a year ago.
Yeah, he was...
Blew me away.
He was with Paul Schaefer's band for years on the Letterman show, and he was great on there. And, the guy that plays bass on there, Will Lee, was in a band with Hiram. I saw them, I guess, back in 81 or 82 down at Van Wetzel, and they were in a band called the 24th Street Band.
Well, you mentioned the Letterman show. The Letterman show is something I have seen maybe a half a dozen times in the entire time it's been on.
Yeah.
It's one of those programs that I would watch every day if two things happened. One, I stayed up that late, and two, I remembered it. I mean, I would tape it and watch it the next day if I could remember it.
Yeah, I tape it because I can't stay up that late.
But I forget that it's on.
Well, tie a string around your finger or something. But he's not on there anymore anyway, so you're not missing that.
I hope he's still touring with Sanborn if Sanborn comes back into the area.
I didn't know he was with Sanborn now.
Well, it blew me away because there are very, very few artists who have the courage to allow someone else to steal the show and to set up the show to be stolen by the other individual.
You're right.
And, Bullock would have stolen the show even if it wasn't set up that way. He's just one of those people that has presence, that has that magical word, it.
He is great. He really has such charisma and everything up there, and he's such a great artist as far as playing the guitar and everything. But, Sanborn's on Letterman a lot, too.
Really? I didn't know that.
For you to tape it. Yeah, he goes on there. I would say he's been on there, probably 3 or 4 times a month he's on there as like a guest, and he just, blows sax with the band.
Well, the problem is if I watched Letterman more often, I'd probably steal his material. It's so damned good, and it kind of fits what I do, too.
Oh, exactly.
So I would then become a total thief.
He's great.
Every show would be last night's Letterman show. Steve in Tampa. Hi, Steve. You're on the air. Hello, Steve. Steve once. Steve twice. Steve becomes the newest member of the subhuman pig club that hung up on me before I could get to him. Steve in Pinellas Park. Hi, Steve. You're on the air at WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I heard you talk about videos. I wanted to ask your opinion on a certain video. This particular video has been outlawed in 18 states. It's called Faces of Death. Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it. I have not seen it in its entirety. I have seen clips from it, and it is appalling.
Right, but it's from a scientific point of view. It's not,
It's from as much of a scientific point of view as those skin flicks I used to go see in high school that always started out with the fake doctor.
You'd have to see the whole thing to realize it, but I thought if you get a chance, they have 4 of them out now, but it's very interesting.
They're up to 4 now?
Yeah, if you can deal with death and, pathology and things like that, it's very interesting. They show a man getting electrocuted in an electric chair. They show an actual satanic group cutting open a body and eating the body and then rubbing the body all over each other and having an orgy. It shows a lot of things that were illegal. That's why it's outlawed in 18 states. But
I think it's outlawed in 18 states because it's tasteless.
Well, yeah, but I just, I thought it's something that you have to see, and I just thought I wanted to...
Well, Steve, no disrespect intended, but it's something that I don't have to see. I personally object to those kinds of films. I would not outlaw the film, I hasten to point out.
It's not a Hollywood make of a fake pornographic type film. It's real death situations overseas and in the U.S. that are illegal killings that were taped, and in order to try to stop this kind of thing, where the authorities wouldn't listen, and this man produced everything on tape, and it's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Well, that may or may not have been his real intent, but what is a real fact is that the people who are buying and or renting this film have no interest in trying to stop illegal deaths.
Right,
they get the jollies from watching violence.
Well, no, one more quick point. What he tried to do was his parachute wouldn't open when he jumped out of a plane. And the authorities and everybody told the man's family that he died of a heart attack before he reached the ground. Now, this guy, using slow motion and close-up, showed that until the last second before the man hit the ground, his legs were moving, and he was totally conscious of what was going on, that he did not, in fact, die of a heart attack. But anyway, they go into a restaurant over in Bombay where they take a monkey, put it on the table, and hammer its skull till it's open and eat its brains. It's something you got to see.
Well, maybe you do, Steve, but I'll reserve...
Okay, Bob.
Reserve my place for some other time.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
It's even worse in Tampa, or maybe we just get more publicity over here from hearing it. And tell that boy from Ben, I think his name was, about the wife using the son as a wedge between the two of them.
Yeah.
When I left home, I left 5 kids with my wife, and she tried to brainwash them. But the 3 oldest ones are in high school, and right now I have a better relationship with all my kids, all 5 of them, than I've ever had in my life. Because they're old enough. The oldest one's 30 and the youngest one's 24, I believe. And they realize what their mother tried to do to them as far as saying I was a no good AK or whatever it was. And so they realize where she's coming from, that she needs help. But if my kids need something, or I can help them with something, or need to talk to me, they know where I'm at.
Okay, Cleveland, thank you much. Another thrilling personal testimonial here at the radio station.
Individual attention that they deserve.
Well, I'm glad you exist.
Well, I'm glad that I exist too. I'm glad you exist, no matter how big it is or small.
I beg your pardon.
Well, you know,
It's a rather personal topic to talk on the radio about.
Well,
regardless of what Webb thinks is fit
about it.
programming.
I'm tired of the shockless radio. Come on, let's get these people hopping at the last 10 minutes.
No, maybe tomorrow. I don't know, Robin. I swear. I've got to check the biorhythms when I go home today.
Well, I'll catch you tonight at 10 to be sure.
Okay.
Okay, bye, Bob.
Bye-bye. Gary McHenry with What Else? A WFLA traffic report. Gary, are you there? Oh, Gary. Gary, come in, Gary. Gary? Hello, Gary?
Didn't have my doodad flipped again, did you?
I have nothing to do with your doodad, and I wouldn't flip it anyway, Gary. What the hell do you think I am? I thought maybe you were getting even with me, for forgetting you yesterday. You were going to forget me today.
Well, no. When I want to get even, I'll tell the Uncle Todd story.
Just give the traffic report, Gary.
They like to complain when we can refuse their pennies, and you won't take a penny, that's what they say to us, and they say how it used to be our money used to be like their money is today. And I just think that...
Yeah, I used to be thin, too. I used to have hair.
I just wish that we could just, destroy the whole entire world, that anybody over 60 years old just gets destroyed.
Well, I think there ought to be the death penalty for passing Canadian quarters.
Well, definitely. Definitely the death penalty for being lazy. I don't think laziness is the key to anything. We got somebody at the good old White House that's the same way.
Well, there's another story of a diversion.
That's right. See, hey, they tie in together. Maybe he's a Canadian.
He probably is.
Or maybe he's a communist, like maybe John Wayne,
He probably is a Canadian, and this entire last 7 years he's been swapping Canadian quarters for good U.S. quarters.
That's correct.
Down there at the Treasury.
So, hey, those Canadians learn from the big honcho, and, if he's not lying so much, why do they keep cutting off his nose?
Beats me.
I don't know. Maybe it's Pinocchio. Well, hey, nice talking to you, Bob. You have a good day.
Take care, kid.
All right.
Bye-bye. Off to Stud in Tampa we go. Hi, Stud.
Hello.
Hello.
Is this you, Robert?
This is me. Is that you?
This is I.
Well, then I guess we've made the connection.
Program very much. I just called to let you know before you go off the air, which is only a few minutes, to let these people know that you come on channel 44 at 10:30 instead of 10 o'clock.
No, it's 10 o'clock.
No, it's 10:30.
No, at 10:30 they have the Satellite News Network or something like that. They do their local news from 10 to 10:30.
Well...
Unless tonight's different for some strange reason.
What is this?
Unless, tonight is different for some strange
tonight
reason.
Is a little different. They have a movie that runs through until 10:30.
And in Pinellas County, 500 block of Clearwater Largo Road, 2400 block of Almerton, had some injuries there. Gary McHenry, WFLA Traffic.
Back to me. Okay, 350 on that. Let's see, Ray in St. Pete. Hi, Ray. You're on the air.
Ray, how you doing?
Oh, great.
Hey, listen, I got a great idea. You've been down all day. I listened to you just...
Well, it's not that I'm down. I'm not down. I'm just blank today. I've been blank for most of the week.
Well, you're blank most of the time, but that's beside the point.
Thank
now,
you,
here, I've got an excellent idea to get you feeling better by the end of the day.
But I feel fine.
Okay, here's the thing. You know what Old Sparky is?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I would pay to make or to have an exact replica of that made if we could put you in it outside of WFLA studios and I could push the switch.
Well, Ray, why would you want to do that?
Because I think you're one of the biggest horse's asses I have ever heard on the radio.
Well, Ray, why do you listen?
Well, I only listen from time to time. I'm dying to find out when they're going to get rid of you.
Never, Ray. I have a very long-term contract.
Oh, well, I tell you something. That is the death of WFLA.
Oh, I don't think so,
They got
Ray.
you and that turkey in the morning who has a voice like some kind of Bible-toting and preaching hillbilly.
Uh-huh.
And he got you there because I know that you're jacking friends.
You know my jackin' friends?
Jacking friends. Jack-off friends.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't have any friends, Ray.
Well, he's the only one you've got. But I'm going to be listening at 4 because
Ray?
Ray, Jack is coming back.
Ray, he isn't a friend of mine.
Well, I'm not surprised that you have none, but I would think if you had one...
Well, now, wait a second, Ray. You seem to be contradicting yourself a little bit earlier on. You said you knew who my friends were. Now you're saying you're not surprised to find out I don't have any.
Well, because you told me you didn't have any.
Well, Ray, you told me that you knew that I did.
Oh, you're
Ray, you seem to be a very, very confused man.
You are so good with logic.
Ray, I'm just good, period.
You're such an asshole it hurts.
Oh, Ray.
Yes.
Ray, is that the best you can do, baby?
No, I think it was pretty good.
You do?
Yes, I do.
That's why I've got the show and you don't, Ray. You don't know what's good.
Listen,
But you do listen to what's good.
You are a waste.
A waste?
A total waste.
A total waste?
Who the hell would ever hire you?
Why don't you ask who would listen to me, Ray?
No, as I said, I switch back and forth on the radio.
I mean, Ray, let's be honest about this, Ray. I do tend to attract idiots. I tend to have listeners who aren't intelligent enough to tie their shoes. You know, Ray, that happens to be true.
That's
and
true.
Most of my callers, especially at 3:56 in the afternoon, are just absolute blowhards with marshmallows between their ears.
You keep people in phone booths waiting to speak to your dumb ass.
Oh, are you calling from a phone booth, Ray? I guess he is. Yes, Mr. Ellery.
Bobby, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
This afternoon, somewhere in this show, we're going to try to follow up on what Ted Koppel started last night. There was a big story on Koppel, if you saw him last night, about child abuse. And I don't want to talk about that, but I want people who have abused, who have been abusers, who whacked the hell out of their kids, to call in and tell me about themselves. What kind of a person do you think is a child abuser? Rich guy, poor guy, black guy, white guy?
Every kind of guy. Everybody abuses their children. There, to the best of my knowledge, there is no real profile.
There's got to be. There's got to be something that takes an ordinary human being, like myself or yourself, like myself.
Well, wait a second. We just had a case in New York. What, was it an attorney and some other professional, cream of the crop? Killed their kid.
There's got to be something that takes an average human being and makes him walk up to a little kid and smack him full force right in the mouth or in the eye or in the stomach. Because in genteel society, I say gentile, I said genteel, that ain't done.
Oh, it would have been okay to say gentile here.
Anyway, I'm going to try to find out.
You couldn't say that.
I'm on 44 tonight, and I know they're going to turn it around. She asked me what I thought of shock radio.
Are you the guy that talked about the underwear?
Right.
Oh, damn, I was hoping it was Shanks, because I was going to say, at least I wear underwear.
Shock radio.
Uh-huh.
Now, we don't do shock radio, says Dick Norman, our program, our leader here. So she asked me what I thought of shock radio. It's like walking down the street in your underwear. Now, I didn't say you walk down the street, although you may at times, but...
No, actually, I don't wear underwear. I was going to lie and say I do if it was Shanks that said I was, in my...
At any rate, yeah, I thought that was a kind of neat line.
I was terrified. I probably shouldn't say this, but looking at the angle... See, when they were interviewing you, because you were interviewed outside, I was getting in my car and driving away right behind you, but I don't think... I don't think that the camera will pick up the angle. Because I sat in my car for several minutes. As they
saying, what's that sucker saying?
Well, no, because I didn't want my license plate on the air.
The funny bit is, I ain't going to be home tonight to watch the darn thing, so you watch it. And somewhere between 4 and 7, I want people who have been actual child abusers. Not abused, but who have walked up to a kid and done some horrible things to call in. Hey, Bobby, there was a case in Philadelphia. They found a little kid, less than a year old. Swear to God, the woman told me, with herpes of the mouth, anus, and vagina. Less than a year old.
Happens in almost every community.
I mean, there's some real kooky birds out there.
That's why, say who does it. I say to you, everybody.
I want the kooky birds calling. I'll be nice to them.
Have a good one, Jack. As for the rest of you, have a fine day with what is left of it. We'll do it again tomorrow at noon. Who knows? Maybe the biorhythms will be up tomorrow, and old ladies will call up, and I'll talk dirty to them, and we'll all have a grand time. Behave yourselves, huh?